I'm 39 years old and I have zero savings for retirement. And I don't know when I'm going to be able to start saving because my bills cost more than my paycheck. We're working 60 plus years, and we retire broke. I'm seeing videos of 80-year-olds that are too old to work, but too poor to retire. Name one person you know that's gotten wealthy throughout all their years of working. Just really think about it. Did your grandparents get wealthy from working? Are your parents wealthy from working? Are you wealthy yet from working? And my grandparents had to choose between prescriptions and food. I remember that before they passed away. I remember them having to make those choices. I know people who worked their whole life and they retired poor. They didn't get to retire because they were poor. They were too poor to retire. I don't know anybody, or I haven't personally met anybody who's created wealth from working their whole life. Let me name some people you know, because I don't know anybody. So I'm 30.
Think about it. Who does the land, the water, and the natural resources of this planet belong to? Who decided that one human could stand up one day and declare, "This is mine, and you must pay to use it"? Did you sign a contract when you were born agreeing to these terms? No. You arrived here pure and unbound, but you were immediately ushered into a world where access to the very essentials of life, land to live on, water to drink, food to eat, comes with a price tag. And that price tag is not set by nature. It's set by the system. This is one of the most effective forms of programming, convincing people that they must earn their right to exist on a planet they were born into. Ownership of resources is not just about wealth. It's about control. When a small group controls land, water, energy, and food production, they don't just control the economy. They control human behavior. They can dictate where you live, what you eat, what you pay, and even what's possible for your future. This is why throughout history, control of resources has been at the heart of nearly every major conflict. Not ideology, not religion, but the raw power of ownership. Divide and distract. One of the oldest strategies in politics is divide and rule. Keep the population fighting among themselves over ideology, identity, race, religion, and they will never unite to question the system as a whole. This is why political discourse is so often framed as us versus them. It's a psychological trap. If you're focused on winning against your neighbor, you're not looking at who built the arena you're fighting in.
Shalom, I hope you all are doing well. I'm blessed and I'm back again with a quick message. From the beginning of time, Yahuwah established the earth as a provision, not a marketplace. In Genesis 1:29, Elohim declares that he has given every herb bearing seed and every tree yielding fruit for food, freely, without price, without labor imposed by man. Adam was placed in the garden to tend and keep it, not to purchase it, not to lease it, and not to pay tribute for what came directly from the hand of the Creator. The earth was not created to be owned by men, but stewarded under obedience. Scripture confirms this truth when it says, "The earth is Yahuwah's, and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein." If the earth belongs to Yahuwah, then no man can rightly claim ownership over what he created, only temporary stewardship at best. The requirement to pay to exist did not originate in heaven, but emerged after rebellion, corruption, and the rise of kingdoms built on power rather than righteousness. As nations formed, men began to divide land, fence what was open, and assign value to what Yahuwah had already declared good and sufficient. Water once flowing freely from rivers and springs became controlled. Food once gathered and shared became taxed and measured. Trees, which Scripture says were for food and healing, became commodities rather than blessings. This shift reflects what Ecclesiastes 5:8 warns about, that oppression comes from hierarchy upon hierarchy, one ruler watching another, each benefiting from those beneath them.
don't own nothing in this life. This is a rented life. You hear me? Rented. What you got in your pocket right now is what you own. You go to the morgue, they'll put that in a property bag and give that to your family. That means the money in the bank is a number on a piece of paper. When the bank is closed, we even.
That's real.
Ain't nobody better than nobody on this earth. You can't take it with you. All I can buy is cars and shoes, a bigger house, and I want some more. This is what rich do. This is what money is. If you really break it down, there's nothing you can really do with it. You're just stacking it up to give it to somebody. Because if something happened to you, you're not taking it with you. So once I start thinking like that, the desire for me to chase in this business and compete went away. I gotta have an arc with it, man. You really don't own nothing.
Ecclesiastes 5:8 reads, "If thou see the oppression of the poor, and violent perverting of judgment and justice in province, marvel not at the matter, for he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they." So what this is telling us is that the oppression of the poor exists because power is layered upon power, rulers watch rulers, and systems protect themselves rather than the people. In this next video clip, a woman realizes she works 40 hours a week only to pay for a place to live. How many of us have found ourselves in that same situation?
I have to work 40 hours a week just so I can have a place to live. 40 hours a week makes me $2,000 a month, and my rent is $1,660. So I work 40 hours a week so I can have a 2-bedroom apartment and an extra $300 a month. Like, it doesn't cover my phone, internet, food, you know? So not only do I not have any extra money, but just working makes me so exhausted that I don't have time either. Like, I get off work at 5:30, come home, I'm just so tired. Anything that I need to do outside of work, I then just push off to like the weekend, and I'm like, I'm just too tired to do this after work. I'll wait until Saturday. So then I end up with so much to do on the weekend that ends up having to be split into 2 days. So I have to do stuff on both Saturday and Sunday. So then I don't get a day off. I don't get a day to relax. I don't get to decompress. So it is really like working 7 days a week. I have to work 40 hours.
This is the same complaint that many people have had. The Hebrews know this all too well. What she's describing is not a personal failure. It is exactly what Scripture warned us about in Ecclesiastes 5:8. A system where power is layered upon power, and the burden always falls on those at the bottom. She said she works, yet most everything goes to rent. For people in this situation, it barely leaves enough for them to survive, not to live, which shows how provision has been turned into control. Ecclesiastes 8 explains why this feels normal. Because injustice continues without immediate judgment, so people accept it as life. And her struggle is a modern witness to a system that profits from survival. And the Most High sees this, He's recording it, and He will judge it in His time.
Why is it that we have to pay to live on a planet we were born on? Watch this.
I don't understand why you have to pay to live on a planet you were born on.
Good question.
You know what I mean? It's such a simple question, and it's haunted me ever since. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? Ask yourself that question. Why do we have to pay to live on a planet we were born on? And who are we actually paying for the privilege of being alive here? Who made them the boss? Who put them in charge? You know? Think about that. We're looking at a war over water, when instead of feeding the military-industrial complex, we could be building desalination plants all over the world. So everybody could have water. So they could grow crops. But are we doing it? Hell no. Why would we want to do that? Why would we want to empower people to grow food and take care of themselves? Then we can't control them.
In my opinion, I believe it was designed this way on purpose. We didn't get to a point to where we pay to live here for just a coincidence. It's a reason to it, as always.
Living in America right now feels like a punishment. You wake up already behind, you go to work just to stay broke, and you watch the cost of everything rise while your paycheck doesn't move an inch. Groceries are a luxury, rent is robbery, healthcare is a joke, and somehow we're the ones blamed for not budgeting better. People are working 2-3 jobs and still choosing between food or gas. Families are crammed into apartments because buying a house became a fantasy. You can't afford to get sick, you can't afford to rest, you can't afford to exist. But they keep telling us the economy is strong. Strong for who? Because it sure as hell isn't the people doing the work. We're out here treading water while billionaires build rockets, politicians trade stocks, and corporations raise prices just because they can. We were promised opportunity, we got survival. And what makes this worse is watching people blame themselves. Like somehow you failed because you can't afford a 1-bedroom anymore. Like you didn't do enough, when the truth is the math just stopped adding up years ago. They told us to work harder, but never told us they'd change the finish line. This isn't a country full of lazy people. It's a country full of exhausted ones. Simple as that.
We're definitely living in the end times because every nation of people feel the sting. The earth was never intended to function as a marketplace where life itself comes with a price tag. Yahuwah's provision was given for sustenance, balance, and stewardship, not for constant transactions that turn survival into labor and access into permission. When water, food, and land require payment just to exist, it reveals how far the system has drifted from the original design. This is not how creation began, and it's not how it will end. Remembering this helps us to see that what feels normal today is not eternal, and that true provision does not come from systems, but from the Most High, who created the earth and entrusted it to be cared for, not sold. Thank you all for listening, and may the Most High Baruch all deserving. And remember Matthew 24:13. He that endures unto the end, the same shall be saved. And until my next video, Shalom.